Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, it's amazing that we're, just a couple weeks into this 2024 baseball season, and already we may have found the one story that captivates us throughout this entire summer. This is pretty amazing. It comes to us from NCAA Division I baseball. This happened back on the 16th of February in a baseball game between East Carolina University and Rider. Now, ECU, the Pirates, they're leading 11-2, and they bring in a pinch hitter to the game. Sophomore Parker Byrd. This is not only important because it's his first at-bat of this season, but it's his first at-bat as a college baseball player. And you're instantly going to recognize why this is significant. I feel like I don't need to say much more other than that. You can put some things together. Something has obviously happened to him. He's defied the odds. He has returned to playing baseball. He's got back to a D1 level. He's about to take an at-bat in a very competitive situation after overcoming something tremendous in his life. So let me tell you Parker's story just a little bit. He grew up as an infielder and a right-handed pitcher. He's from the area. He always wanted to go to ECU. And right out of high school, it was like the only thing he wanted to do, and he did it. He accepted a scholarship, and that's where he went to go play baseball. But before he ever got to play a single game, he suffered an amazingly gruesome tragedy. He had to have his right leg amputated after a boating accident in July 2022. And I won't get too graphic here. Parker has shared photos of the incident, and it really puts it into perspective. Like for all of us, a lesson of boating safety. It involved being towed by a boat on a flotation device, and the rope got twisted in the propeller. I'll leave it at that. But already a reminder to all of us of how quickly your life can change. And on one day you wake up and things are totally different when you go to sleep that night. Not to mention, here's a young man with so much life ahead of him, and they weren't even sure how he would survive this tragedy, if he'd get to keep his leg. It turned out a couple weeks later, they needed to amputate it by August. He underwent 22 separate surgeries in a 45-day span after the accident. And he's a young man, probably in good health and pretty resilient when it comes to things like this, but how many of us could get through that with a positive outlook? Now, it looks like he's got family and friends and the support of the hospital. But my goodness, what an experience not to go through the immediate trauma of the accident, but then all of the recovery necessary to just even get back to living life normally, let alone rejoining your baseball scholarship and getting an at-bat in a college baseball game. Because of what you just saw in mid-February, a couple days after Valentine's Day, that made Parker the first D1 college baseball player to compete with a prosthetic leg. He not only did something amazing, he did something historic. Oh, and by the way, what happened in that at-bat? I realized I didn't show the whole thing. That game, also I should mention, was televised on ESPN. How cool is that? You had to figure. The coaching staff knew, all right, this is the chance, this is the opportunity. Parker also, by the way, had a Super Bowl commercial made about him that aired during the Super Bowl, only in the Carolinas, right? This was not seen nationally, but in his region, a commercial and a promo about him was aired during the Super Bowl. He drew a walk in that at-bat. Kind of a cool story that he did something positive and productive and worked so hard just to get back to that point. And I also think it's kind of cool in this day and age that photos can document somebody's journey and their process. If this would have happened 20 years ago, yeah, there may not be all the video of this. And it's just a story, kind of an urban legend that gets told from mouth to mouth and ear to ear. But in this case, we have all the documentation. We can understand kind of his story without having to actually live through it ourselves. just look at the persistence, and I'm sure not all days were smiles like this and thumbs up and family visits. I'm sure there were some pretty dark moments along the way too, like when he thought maybe baseball would be coming to an end. But it didn't. In fact, baseball might have been one of the things that was part of the healing process for Parker. In summer of 2023, he said, quote, "The recovery process has been intense." This is still when he was going through it. "I started going to the batting cages when I first got out of the hospital. I would sit in my wheelchair and just watch pitches taking mental at-bats." Look at that photo right there. He just wanted to sit in the batter's box and watch pitches, not even swing, and take mental at-bats. You tell me baseball and sports aren't special? There's an example of it right there. Once I was discharged, my friends still continued to come daily to see me. They would push me in a wheelchair to their dorm rooms so I could hang out and feel somewhat of a normal college kid. They have been there every step of the way, whether it is helping me hit or work out or just hanging out, playing the PlayStation. And these are just a few photos. If you search Parker on the internet, there's a bunch of documentation of all the people that were there for him along the way, including his family. Quote, "My family has been a huge support for me. My parents sold their house and bought a new one in Greenville. My dad changed jobs and now works here in town. My mom has been my personal nurse many days. Both my sisters changed schools. They all live in Greenville now, and it was mainly to support me through this process." Imagine the entire Byrd family and the trauma of one of their own going through this, have it happening to them, the recovery process, how it goes on for weeks and months. And look, his life still is not normal and may never feel entirely the same. But this is amazing that they have done so many things, and so many things change because of one day, one terrible accident, and they've done it all to help him. It's so inspiring. He continues on here about the journey. "Once I was strong enough to stand, I would do one-arm hitting drills, holding on to my walker. I continued to get stronger and would then use one crutch for support while hitting. Now I'm able to do regular hitting with my prosthesis. After my final surgery, I received clearance from my doctor. I started working on rebuilding my lower body strength." That's the Osser prosthetic leg. And there's two different versions of it. I think I'm not an expert in this, obviously, but you also have to understand how cool technology is, and science and medicine, and the care and support of people in that field to make Parker's life more normal, all things considered. You wear one leg on the left for everyday activities, and then there's this one on the right. I forget the exact name of it, but it's kind of like a blade. It's more athletic. It's got some bounce to it. That's the one he participates with. He has a custom prosthetic leg made for his everyday use. And again, had this happened 20, 30 years ago, it's probably not even a possibility that he even survives or can live comfortably or can play competitive D1 baseball, because this type of technology isn't out there yet. It doesn't exist. But it does now. He got a custom leg built, and I believe it was also given to him as a gift. So, what comes next? He'll play this season. He'll be part of the team, you'd have to imagine, for the next couple of years. He's only technically a sophomore. What is his journey? What does he bring to the table? Where does it go from here? Because I want to point this out. The story, to me, is not over. His presence alone for the next couple of years wearing that ECU jersey is so important. Here ECU is playing Old Dominion, who put this up on social media. Today, we hosted Gavin Younce, our first pitch kid. He survived Ewing sarcoma and had the opportunity to have Parker Byrd catch his first pitch. Thank you, ECU Baseball, for giving Gavin the opportunity to meet one of his idols. That's what it's about right there. For the rest of Parker's time playing baseball, for ECU or whatever he does from here on out, hopefully he can stay in the game somehow, some way. That is what's most cool. That at-bat right there is something we should never forget. By the way, I highly encourage you to follow Parker on social media, not only on X, but also on Instagram. follow his journey. See where he goes. And let me just say this as I close out the video. Parker, I don't know you. You don't know me. I'm several thousand miles away from you. But I hope you see this. I hope this gets passed along your way. Somebody shares it with you. And I hope I was a little bit accurate in sharing your story. I just wanted to put all this together so that everybody else, as many people as possible, could understand and appreciate what you've gone through, not only to think about their own lives differently, but also to understand the impact they can have and definitely the impact you can have in the rest of your baseball endeavors. You've made it here to the end of the video. Thumbs up down below if you appreciated this one. I really appreciate that support. And also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so I can definitely see you back here next time. That definitely is, so far, the baseball story of the year. And it's going to be hard to beat.